need my own mustache.
We had two of these. I
You're
don't know where the
fine.
other one went. I mean, you can use the other end. If you
I
want.
will. There's that moment in Saving Private Ryan where Matt Damon's character shares this story. Tom Hanks' character alludes to like a memory that he's like, no, that one's for me. And something always stuck out to me in that moment of like, there are certain memories that you think to yourself, this is going to stick with me. Or I pray it sticks with me. Like no matter how old I get, like that, if I lose all my other memories, that certain ones will stay with me. And I remember we had the opportunity years ago to go to England, my wife and I. And we walked in the footsteps of C.S. Lewis and Jane Austen. It was really fun. We had the opportunity to go to Stonehenge, but the morning of, my wife, she expressed to me, she was like, Bath is nearby, the town of Bath, and I had a rare moment of being a good husband. It's not that rare, I hope. But anyway, but I was like, you know what? I can survive saying I've never been up close and personal with Stonehenge. We're going to go to Bath. And so we went to Bath, and there's a lot of Jane Austen stuff there. It's crazy to drive in. But that night we stayed in a place called Oakley Hall. And Jane Austen, it was owned by friends of hers back in the day, and they've revamped it. It's like a bed and breakfast kind of place, but the grounds are all intact. And we spent the night walking around the estate, and it was one of those rare, like, perfect English sunsets, and we just sat on a bench, went out and even sat in the field and just watched the sunrise, or sunset rather. We just watched the sunset, and I'll never, for as long as I live, I hope I never forget that moment, because it was, you just felt completely at peace. And that's why I treasure that. We had no agenda. We had spent the day doing what I had planned to do, but it had obviously very much been an enjoyable thing for my wife, and so she was relaxed and I was relaxed, and we literally just spent the night walking the grounds of this English manor and watching this perfect sunset and just sitting and watching it. Like, we didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't feel like we had to post about it. We literally just experienced it. And there's so few moments in life that I feel like I'm 100% just experiencing it. We always feel this crushing weight to document it. And so that's to my chagrin. I'm trying to do a better job about that, but to me anyway, like, that's one of the most treasured memories because I fully lived it, and I will forever appreciate that. So
I love those memories. Those are the ones that are important. We oftentimes find ourselves constantly having to document what we're doing. The world of social media has jaded us to actual moments. I think that we often live vicariously through people doing things to document what they're doing all the time. But I think the most memorable things we do is things we don't document. It doesn't mean not taking pictures with your family while you're there and those things, but the idea of putting things out there in the social media all the time.
Yeah,
we do this as a social media platform, and I think that's amazing. We document the things we do as a friendship and a brotherhood,
which I will forever treasure. By the way,
that's the same, sir. But I have a memory like that myself. I've in my lifetime have experienced a myriad of things, as most people have. One of my memories that sticks out in my head of just me learning about the Irishness of the world and my people and where I came from, and as an American, having traceable roots back is something that we take for granted so often, and I don't take that for granted at all. I find that to be an amazing thing that I have the ability to do that. I remember I was at a Celtic Fest, and I was by myself. I was there. It was a full Celtic Fest, so I do have a Scottish background as well. So I was wearing a kilt, and me wearing a kilt, it's very shocking.
Not as an Ewok.
Not as an Ewok. Not as Ewok Wallace. Wearing a Thele Moore.
To Ewok Wallace.
To Ewok Wallace. But I walked into one of the halls they were doing. It rains a lot in the south and that time of the year. There was a trad session going on, and I walked in and I had no idea what I was walking into. I didn't know who was going to be there, who was playing, whatever. I just wanted to come and listen to music, and I sat there for what in my mind I was going to cool off and just listen to some music, and it turns out I sat there for 3.5 hours. just listening to the most amazing music ever. And hearing all of the great trad songs that you could ever imagine, and then I got to hear this song that I'd never heard before, and it wasn't really a trad song, it wasn't a traditional Irish song, but it was a song called Vincent Black Lightning 1952. And I just sat there and listened because it just tells the story of just a guy, just a person. This person who, as most trad songs talk about, they talk about people that are not the, in society wouldn't be the most, notorious people you want to be around. But I just sat there and listened to this ballad being sung about this guy, and it was one of those songs that sticks with you to the core. And it just blew me away. And then they followed that song up with The Long Black Veil. And that was the moment solidified into me, is that I knew in my heart that Irish music goes well beyond the world of the normal traditional music that we know in the Irish music world. That music exists no matter where you are. It exists in country music, it exists in rock and roll, it exists in rap to some extent. It exists into R&B, and that music from those places has influenced the world so much, and that it takes inspiration from so many other places. You've seen on this channel before that I play an instrument called the bouzouki. That's a Greek instrument originally. And the banjo, that's an African instrument. These instruments were taken from other places and used in music, and in such a way that just the idea was to keep the art moving, keep the art going out. We lost one of the great Irish bards back last year with Shane McGowan. One of the great men that kept this world alive. I'm out of
Everything left? Okay.
Drink.
But he deserves one.
And not just because I'm McGowan. But Shane was one of those people, and Sinead O'Connor, rest in peace, both of you. They took this music and put it out there for the world to see, and they were on the heels of people like the Dubliners, Dee McLean, and those people that were doing all this music. That's the kind of music that's set with me, that helped me understand where I came from, also, and where we're going, where we are. So that's my other memory. Sorry to pontificate a little too much there.
How very Irish of you.
Down from heaven to carry me home.